All right, I want you to do a little experiment for me right now. Go ahead and log into your brokerage account, Questrade, Wealthsimple, whatever clunky dashboard your bank uses, and find that big green number, the one that says total portfolio value. Got it? Take a good luck. Maybe it's 100 grand, maybe it's a million. Now, I want you to picture taking a big, fat red marker and just scribbling right through it. Why? Because that number, it's a total lie. See, that number is what we call gross wealth. It's a vanity metric, really. It completely ignores the biggest, most expensive liability you have, the Canada Revenue Agency. Look, most of us Canadian investors, we operate under this delusion that we own 100% of our portfolio. But you don't. Nope. You have a silent partner. And this partner, they take zero risk, they put in zero capital, but they have a contractual claim to anywhere from 25 to 53% of your profits. And it all depends on which little box you clicked buy in. Let me put it this way. If you've got $1 million portfolio, but it's set up inefficiently across your accounts, your real wealth, which you actually get to keep, it might be closer to $700,000. That's a $300,000 gap, an inefficiency gap caused simply by not knowing the tax code. It's crazy, right? Most people spend decades, literally decades, obsessing over what to buy, which stock, which ETF, which crypto, but they spend what? 0 minutes thinking about where to put it. And I'm telling you, in Canada, where you hold an asset matters infinitely more than what that asset is. So today, we're going to fire that silent partner. We're going to run a full-on forensic audit on your asset location strategy. We'll use something I call the 4-bucket protocol. This is the exact framework I use personally to make sure that when my portfolio grows by $1, I, actually get to keep that dollar. We're going to break your entire financial life down into 4 quadrants, okay? Quadrant 1, the interest trap. Quadrant 2, the border tax. Quadrant 3, the Trojan horse of Canadian dividends. And finally, Quadrant 4, the moonshot. Look, if you're holding a GIC in a non-registered account right now or a US dividend stock in your TFSA, you are just voluntarily donating your money to the government. So let's fix that, shall we? Okay, let's start with Quadrant 1. This is the most common mistake I see, hands down, the interest trap. This bucket is for anything that pays you interest income. So we're talking about GICs, high interest savings account ETFs, like cash.to, and of course, corporate or government bonds. Now, hold on. I need to make a really critical distinction here because the comment section always lights up about this. There is a huge difference between your emergency fund and your investment portfolio. If you're holding cash in a HISA because it's your safety net, your rainy day fund, great. Keep doing that. Keep it liquid. Please do not lock your emergency fund into some volatile bond fund just to save a percent on tax. That's not the point. Liquidity is king for emergencies. But, and this is a big but, for your long-term investment capital, interest income is, frankly, the filthiest kind of money you can earn from a tax perspective. The CRA treats every single dollar of interest exactly like your salary. It's fully taxable at your highest marginal rate. There's no tax credit, no 50% inclusion rate, nothing. It's just raw, fully exposed income. Let's actually run the numbers on this because this is where the safe investor usually gets absolutely slaughtered. So let's say you're a high-income earner in Ontario, sitting in that top tax bracket. You go out and buy a GIC that pays a nice, safe 5%. You're thinking, awesome, I'm beating inflation. But are you, really? In that top bracket, your marginal tax rate is over 53%. That means on your 5% return, the government swoops in and takes 2.65%. You're left with a net return of 2.35%. Now, what's the inflation rate? Even if it's a tame 2.5%, your safe investment is mathematically losing you purchasing power every single day. You're the one taking all the risk, locking up your capital, and the government is walking away with the majority of the yield. It's insane. So where does this stuff belong? The audit rule is simple. Bucket 1 assets belong in your RRSP, period. Your registered retirement savings plan is a tax deferral chamber. Think of it like a vault. When you hold that GIC inside your RRSP, the CRA can't touch that 5% yield this year. They can't touch it next year. That 5% just compounds on itself, totally unbothered by taxes for decades. You only pay the tax when you pull the money out. Ideally, when you're retired, sitting on a dock somewhere and your marginal tax rate is plummeted from 53% down to, say, 20 or 30%. You're basically playing tax arbitrage against the government, and you win. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what about the TFSA? I can put GICs in there too. And yet you can, but listen, you can also use a Ferrari to tow a boat. I mean, it'll work, but what a colossal waste of incredible engineering. Your TFSA room is the most valuable piece of real estate in the entire Canadian financial system. It's limited, it's precious. Do not, I repeat, do not clog it up with low-yield, safe assets like GICs. You want your TFSA to hold the stuff that might double, triple, or go 10x because all of that growth is completely tax-free. Wasting that precious tax-free room on a 4% GIC is just, it's a major strategic failure. All right, this brings us to quadrant 2. And honestly, this is where I see self-directed investors just consistently lighting their money on fire. We're talking about US dividend stocks. Companies like Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson, or those popular US-listed dividend ETFs that spit out a nice monthly yield. Here's the typical scenario. You open your TFSA. You think, oh, I love my TFSA, it's tax-free. I'm going to load it up with my favorite US dividend stocks so I don't have to pay any tax on that income. It seems so logical, right? Well, it's also dead wrong. Here's the thing. The tax-free savings account, it's a Canadian thing. The IRS down in the States, they could not care less about your TFSA. To them, it's just a regular old brokerage account. They don't recognize its tax-free status at all. So because of this, when a US company like Coke pays a dividend into a Canadian TFSA, the IRS steps in before that money even crosses the border and takes a 15% cut. This is the dreaded foreign withholding tax. So if Coca-Cola pays a $1 dividend, only 85 cents actually lands in your account. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, but wait, I'll just claim the foreign tax credit on my tax return and get it back. Nope, you won't. You can't. Because the TFSA is tax-free, you don't file a tax return for it. And since you don't file a return, there's no way to claim that credit. That 15% is just gone, vaporized. Poof. You've just paid a tax you absolutely did not have to pay. So, the big question, where do these US stocks belong? The audit rule is crystal clear. US dividend payers belong in your RRSP. Why? Simple. It's because Canada and the US have a tax treaty. It's like a handshake deal between the CRA and the IRS. And the IRS does recognize the RRSP as a legitimate retirement account. So if you hold that exact same Coca-Cola stock in your RRSP, guess what? The IRS waives the withholding tax. You get the full dollar. This is the only place in the entire Canadian financial system where you can hide from Uncle Sam. If you've got US dividend stocks in your TFSA right now, you're just leaking 15% of your yield for absolutely no reason. Move them. Move them to the RSP. Okay, on to quadrant 3, Canadian eligible dividends. This is your classic stuff, the big banks, the pipelines, the telcos, the blue chip backbone of the whole Canadian economy. Now, the government wants us to invest in Canadian companies, so they give us this really nice tax break called the dividend tax credit. And because of this credit, Canadian dividends are super tax efficient. I mean, in some provinces, if you have no other income, you can earn up to 50 grand in eligible dividends and pay basically zero income tax. It's amazing. And because of that, a lot of advisors will tell you, hey, put your Canadian stocks in your non-registered cash account. And you know what? Generally, they're right. If your RRSP and TFSA are maxed out, the cash account is the natural home for these. It's way, way better than holding interest income there. But there's a trap, a hidden trap. I call it the Trojan horse. So here's how the trick works. While the actual tax bill you pay on these dividends is super low, the income that gets reported on your tax return is artificially high. To give you that awesome tax credit, the CRA uses this weird mechanism called the gross up. What they do is they take the actual cash dividend you received and they inflate it. They multiply it by 38%. So let's say you got $1,000 in cash. Your tax return will actually say you earned $1,380. You never see that extra $380. You can't spend it. It's phantom money. But here's the kicker. The CRA uses that inflated phantom number to calculate your official net income for the year. So what, you might be thinking? Why does that matter? Well, it matters a lot, because almost every single government benefit in Canada is means tested based on your net income. Think about this. If you're a retiree collecting old age security, or OAS, and you're getting close to that clawback threshold, which is around $90,000, this gross up can absolutely destroy you. You might look at your bank account and think your income is 85 grand, well, safe from the clawback. But because of your big dividend portfolio in your cash account, the CRA grosses up your income to, say, 95,000. And just like that, boom, the government starts calling back your OAS pension. 15 cents for every dollar over the limit. You saved a little bit in tax, sure, but you ended up losing your pension benefits. So the audit rule is this. Canadian dividends are fantastic for your cash account while you're building wealth, but you have to be so careful with them in retirement if you're anywhere near that OAS threshold. So right about now, I can hear the gears turning in your head. You're thinking, okay, this is amazing, this is powerful, but how on earth do I actually track all of this stuff? And you're right, because the execution is where most people fall flat. You need way more than just your brokerage dashboard. A lot of people try to use spreadsheets, but honestly, they're usually just riddled with errors. They totally fail to track things like phantom distributions. Those reinvested ETF gains you owe tax on even though you never saw the cash. They completely mess up the currency conversions for things like Norbert's Gambit, and worst of all, they can get your adjusted cost base all wrong, which is absolutely critical for reporting your capital gains correctly. Just relying on some random template, or even worse, just the T5080 slip your broker sends you, that's a recipe for filing an incorrect tax return. So to solve this exact problem, we are actually developing a brand new tool. It's called the Canadian Wealth Tracker, and it's being designed from the ground up to apply this audit-first logic automatically. It'll connect to your accounts, it'll highlight all these inefficiencies for you, and it'll track all those super tricky variables to show you your real net worth. The number you actually get to keep. So if you want to stop guessing and start knowing for sure, I'm going to be opening this up to a beta group really soon. So make sure you're subscribed and keep an eye on the community tab for that announcement. All right, we have one bucket left to talk about, and this is the exciting one. This is Quadrant 4, pure capital growth. We're talking about assets that either don't pay dividends at all or pay really tiny ones. Think technology stocks, growth ETFs, maybe even those Bitcoin ETFs. The whole game here isn't about getting a monthly payout, it's about the price just going up and up and up. So this is the million-dollar question. Where do these high flyers belong? The answer all comes down to a concept called asymmetric upside. Let's play this out. If you put a stock in your RRSP and it goes up 1,000%, a massive win, you've actually created a giant tax liability for yourself. When you finally pull that money out, every single penny is taxed as income. You've just turned a capital gain, which is normally only 50% taxable, into regular income, which is 100% taxable. That's a mathematical disaster. Okay, what if you put it in your cash account? Better. You'll pay capital gains tax, but you still lose a big chunk. But what about the TFSA? Oh, this is where the magic happens. If you buy a stock for 10 grand and it skyrockets to 100 grand, that entire $90,000 gain is yours, tax-free, forever. You can pull it all out, buy a boat, and the CRA gets exactly nothing. So the audit rule here is just so clear it's not even a debate. These assets belong in your TFSA. This right here is exactly why you never waste your precious TFSA room on safe money. You use the TFSA for your highest potential assets, your moonshots. You use the TFSA to swing for the fences, because if you hit a home run, you get to keep the entire ballpark. But there's a catch. Of course there is. There's always a catch with the CRA. What happens if you get a little too aggressive in your TFSA? What if you start day trading? Flipping stocks every single day, basically treating it like a full-time business. Well, the CRA can come knocking. They can audit you. And they have this terrifying power to just declare your TFSA a business venture. If they do that, all of those beautiful tax-free gains suddenly become fully taxable business income. It's a scary power. And honestly, most people have no idea what triggers even set off the alarm bells. Now, I actually did a whole deep dive on these TFSA audit triggers. I break down the specific patterns the CRA is looking for when they decide to strip away your tax-free status. So if you're going to use this moonshot strategy, you absolutely need to watch that explainer next, just to make sure you stay on the right side of that line. Look, if you got any value out of this audit today, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really helps the algorithm get this information in front of more Canadians who are right now just donating their wealth to the CRA without even knowing it. And hey, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the release of the new Wealth Tracker. And as always, please remember, I am just some guy on the internet. I am not your accountant. So don't take any of this as a prescription for you, all right? Do your own due diligence. Thanks so much for watching.